Welcome into Game Face Sports, everybody. There is massive news in the sports world, and the biggest one that I want to start with because it is going viral right now on basically every social media platform, Instagram, TikTok, everything. The reinvigorated GOAT debate has gotten a lot crazier because people are going back and watching old game footage from the 90s, not clips, the entire games, like finals, playoffs, Michael Jordan, lowlights and highlights. And people are saying that Michael Jordan does not have a left hand. If you go back and look, it does look like Michael Jordan favors his right hand the majority of the time, but there's a massive problem with this argument that people need to point out. If you're going to say Michael Jordan had no left hand, essentially what you're saying is one of two things has to be true. Either A, he won 6 championships and like 10 scoring titles with only his right hand, which is insane. If that's the case, then I think that probably that might be more impressive than if he actually did have a left hand, which is option B. He does, and you're just cherry picking highlights saying he doesn't have it. So to say that Michael Jordan wasn't that good and wasn't a diverse player is crazy. That's just not the case. I don't believe that for a second. But to swing it back into LeBron's side of the argument, when you go back and watch those games, first of all, I never ever want to hear that the defense was better. It wasn't. You could say the rules were different and maybe it was more physical, but watching the way those guys played defense, if they played that kind of defense in today's era, guys like KD, LeBron, Steph, Kawhi Leonard, like anybody would be dropping 50 points a night. Those guys did not guard the perimeter at all. And part of that's just because the game has evolved and there's more shooting and everybody can shoot now. Even centers are pulling up from 30 like it's no big deal. So part of that is just the strategy, but the defense was not better. I don't ever want to hear that. Second, the competition that Jordan went against, no, was not that good. People have tried to say guys like Bill Laimbeer would give LeBron nightmares, but I don't want to hear that crap ever again. That's just not the case. The competition was absolutely cheeks compared to what LeBron had to face. If you took the Kevin Durant Warriors and put them in the 90s era that Jordan played in, not only would they win consecutive titles for every year that they played, but they probably would go 82-0 at least one time. Like they might go a whole regular season and never lose a game in this era. Another part that kind of swings in LeBron's favor here is I do think Michael Jordan's peak at his apex was better than LeBron, but longevity does need to be part of the argument. It really does. If you're going to say things like, longevity is not how we decide GOATs, well, then guys like Wayne Gretzky and guys like Tom Brady aren't the GOAT then, because you can point out guys that had 2, 3, 4, 5 year runs that were better than those guys. So if it's not based on longevity, then those other GOATs that you're saying are clear and cut GOATs based on their longevity doesn't make sense anymore. Patrick Mahomes would already be the GOAT right now if it was not based on longevity, but it is. Tom Brady played into his 40s and won championships late into his career. That's what made him the GOAT. So I think the overall GOAT debate comes down to, what do you find more value in? Do you find more value in the guy that faced tougher competition and was more successful for a longer period of time? Or do you think it's more valuable to be in a shorter period of time, absolutely dominant for essentially 6 years? I mean, the 8 years thing is a weird debate too, because Michael Jordan didn't play like a year and a half in between, but Michael Jordan absolutely dominated those 6 to 8 years, however you look at it. So it just comes down to, do you think the GOAT should be based on peak, or do you think the GOAT should be based on longevity? Me personally, if I had to pick one, I would say LeBron is the GOAT, but it is debatable. If for some reason LeBron finds a way to win another 2 more championships, I think that in that case, there would be no more debate. It would have to be LeBron, but it could go either way. To say that there's no argument is crazy. And when you go back and watch the film, I'm sorry, guys, I don't want to hear about 90s and 80s basketball anymore. It's not even close to the level of talent the guys are in the league now. Everybody in the league now has a bag. Everybody can get to the rim. Everybody can shoot. Everyone has handles. Everyone's throwing flashy passes. It's just insane. Moving to the NFL, in much sadder news, unfortunately, a sports medicine doctor that worked directly with Joe Burrow has come out and suggested that he'll never be the same again. And this could potentially be another RG3 story, or one of those high draft picks that looks so good early in their year and just gets riddled with injury. And it's just kind of unlucky. I don't know how much of this I put on the Bengals. I do feel like the Bengals at least made an effort to try to get Joe Burrow more talent and better protection. But if this is true and Joe Burrow cannot come back looking the same, it would be absolutely devastating for the NFL. It really, really would. The fact that it's his throwing wrist, it sucks because if it was something like, his left wrist or, something not as serious that he didn't have to use on every play, maybe people would feel better about it. But having a doctor come out and say that there's a chance you're never going to look the same is devastating news. And the saddest part about this, especially if you're a fan of a team that's in the AFC, it really looked like Joe Burrow was the only guy that had a chance to compete with Patrick Mahomes year in and year out. And if he's out and he's gone and the Bills are a whole other travesty that might not ever recover, this is devastating. And I liked watching Joe Burrow. That's the other thing too. This last season without him, it just didn't feel the same. It felt like there was a piece of it missing in terms of the entertainment factor. There's something about Joe Burrow that's just fun to watch. And I can't really put my finger on what it is exactly because he's not a super flashy player. He doesn't go out and run like Lamar. He doesn't go out and sling it like Josh Allen. He's like a nice, happy medium between the two that just makes smart decisions. He kind of reminds me of like a Tom Brady-esque type player, but maybe slightly more athletic. He makes good decisions and can always make big throws in big moments. We've seen how clutch he can be. So I hope this isn't true. I really, really hope this is not true. Only time will tell. He did have surgery, so we'll have to see how he looks next season. Keeping it NFL, maybe slightly more positive news. After Russell Wilson got cut, it's come out that the Steelers and the Giants are going to be meeting with Russell Wilson before the start of free agency. I'm a massive Russell Wilson defender. Anyone that's seen my content before knows that. I know that Russell Wilson has more in the tank. I hope he goes to the Steelers. I really don't want him to go to the Giants. I think if he goes to the Giants, it's a death sentence for his career. It's over. It's not going to go well. It's going to be a disaster. I would be surprised if he stayed healthy with the Giants, honestly. I really would. If he goes to the Steelers, at least I feel like he has better coaching and better talent around him. I don't know. And the Broncos were so desperate to get out of his contract that they're taking one of the biggest dead money cap hits in NFL history. Some people are saying that kind of looks bad. And if you're that desperate to get out of his contract, he must be a terrible player. But I felt like it was more about the relationship he had in the locker room as well with the coaching staff, that's why that had to happen. I felt like Sean Payton kind of burnt bridges with Russell Wilson in a way that even though Russell Wilson has come out and said he would go back and play again for the Broncos, of course he's going to say that. He's never going to come out and say, nah, fuck those guys. I don't want to play there anymore. He'd never do that. I'm really got my fingers crossed on the Steelers. I think if he goes to the Steelers, they could win 12 games and be a scary, scary threat to everyone else in the NFL. I really believe that. If you go to the Giants, you'd be lucky to get the same record the Broncos had. If I were Russell Wilson and my only option was go to the Giants or retire, I'm taking retirement. In more exciting news that I am so excited for the Olympics because all of the last, I don't know what the last Olympic, I think it was the last 2 Summer Olympics, Team USA has been getting smoked. And we've been sending like not even close to our best players from Team USA. European countries have been coming out, not only winning the gold, but talking mad shit about USA basketball players and how we're not even that good and we're not the kings of basketball anymore. And they woke up a giant because now they're going to have to deal with, after all that shit talking. I wish LeBron was younger again, but we got LeBron. The projected starting lineup is LeBron, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, Steph Curry, and Devin Booker. And the full team projection is even crazier. Damian Lillard says he wants to play. Anthony Edwards says he wants to play. Jimmy Butler says he wants to play. Jason Tatum says he wants to play. Bam Adebayo, Aaron Gordon, Paul George. I mean, I hate to say it, but the rest of the world's basketball teams absolutely woke up a sleeping giant. Everybody knows, and I can't believe they were talking so crazy beforehand when Team USA was getting smoked in the Olympics. Stop pretending like USA does not have the best basketball players in the world. I don't care what anybody says. Europe is catching up. The continent of Europe is catching up. But the American basketball player, we always have the best of the best. Always, 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 always. You might get a few guys from European teams that come by and or have special players. The best player in the world is probably Jokic right now. But to pretend like we can't put together a team USA that would smoke everybody is insane. And I'm so happy that they're actually pulling their balls out of their pants and showing up this year for the Olympics because I've been tired of the talk. I really have been. Team USA is going to smoke everybody this year, and I can't wait to watch it. I'm watching every second. If you've watched to this point, please consider subscribing. It is 100% free. I'm going to be putting together a full sports show coming up here pretty soon. That's going to be one of the weirdest sports shows you've ever seen. I promise you that. But give me some time after prep it. Got to buy some stuff. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I will see you in the next one. There's so much coming